Point one, there is no Brexit dividend. Point two, more cash for the NHS, you would be a fool to criticise, even if you're not happy with point three, which is the only way they can raise this money is by asking us all to pay a bit more tax and or borrowing more money as the government. So those are the 3 points. Now, where are we politically on this? Why has she done something that has so clearly been built upon an absolute farrago of nonsense and deception? Answer, well, Brexit's getting ever closer. Do you remember something I said to you last week or the week before when Boris Johnson tried to float the boat that the Irish border was a relatively trivial part of Brexit negotiations? Do you remember that? And I said to you that what you'll find now is the furiously hard of thinking wing of the Brexit movement, your kind of Andrea Leadsom, Nadine Dorries type characters, they will now start repeating this nonsense that they don't really understand because it just allows them not to go full Goldfish. This is what the Brexit hardcore need now. What Boris Johnson gives them occasionally is a way to avoid going full Goldfish. And by full Goldfish, what I mean is this isn't going to work on the radio, is it? I might do it anyway. What I mean is this. So the goldfish mouth just goes... they have nothing to say. So you say something to them about what on earth are you going to do about the Irish border, you absolute plank, and they go... And Boris Johnson gives them something to avoid going full Goldfish. In this case, well, the Irish border is trivial. And I said to you a couple of weeks ago, that will be their latest fig leaf. That is what they use to avoid going full Goldfish. So what I think is about to happen, and I am like you, just trying to make sense of a political landscape, the Prime Minister's own Twitter account posits the lie, the blatant lie that there's going to be a Brexit dividend. That's pretty scary. That's sort of sub-Trumpian soundbitery at its ugliest and most cynical. But this is what she knows. She knows that the hardcore Brexiters, as reality bites and their vision falls apart, they need something to avoid going full Goldfish. She's got to give them something that helps them avoid going full Goldfish. So in the coming weeks, we're probably going to find that it will be almost impossible to operate post-Brexit without staying in some way under the jurisdiction of the European Court of Justice. Allow me a moment now to express a degree of professional pride that nobody who listens to this programme on a regular basis can be remotely surprised by any of what is about to happen. You can be furious because you thought I was wrong, but you can't be surprised. So we're going to have to stay under the auspices pretty much of the ECJ. I don't personally see at the moment how we're going to be able to avoid membership, de facto retention of membership of the customs union and or the single market, because to leave either or both of those would be economic suicide on a scale that I don't think any government would actually be able to countenance. So they're going to start delivering to the Brexit hardcore a succession of what they'll call concessions, but which you and I know are absolutely inevitable recognitions of reality. And the Brexit hardcore are going to pretty much wave goodbye to all the nonsense that they've been spouting for the last 2.5 to 3 years. And that leaves them looking like Goldfish. So when you say, well, what happened to taking back control? And then you say, well, hang on a minute, I thought they needed us more than we needed them. And then you say, well, hang on, what about all these trade deals that Liam Fox was supposed to have got sorted by now? So they're going full Goldfish on pretty much every imaginable front. What have they got to put in place of going full Goldfish? The claim, absolutely bogus claim. Everybody knows it's a bogus claim. Theresa May can be supremely confident that someone like Boris Johnson isn't going to worry about telling blatant lies because he's been doing it for his entire career. So Boris Johnson will go on the telly or go on the stump or go on the radio or wherever else he's offered a warm welcome. And he'll claim that whatever happens next was worth it because we're getting the Brexit dividend for the NHS. And even the most supine of journalists today are pointing out the fraudulence of that position, but it doesn't matter because it's not just the key Brexit campaigners that need help in avoiding going full Goldfish, it's all the people who are still refusing to admit that they were conned. So I welcome this injection of cash into the NHS, albeit that it works out roughly half of what we saw Labour do between 1997 and 2010. I hope that it is enough to undo at least some of the damage that this government has visited upon the single most valuable and important institution this country has ever or will ever create. And I personally welcome the notion that the money will come from tax rises and government borrowing, because in a logical universe, where I still manage to keep at least one foot, in a logical universe it can't come from anywhere else. So great. I don't, however, think we should let them get away with lying to you on quite this scale. So unless you are a goldfish, you know that is pretty much textbook, incontrovertible analysis of what's going on.